All right, fifth graders, we are all done with our interactive read aloud. So from here on out, I'm going to be posting different reading assignments for you to do that are not based on an interactive read aloud. They are just reading standards that you would have learned and worked on in fifth grade. This video is on context clues. Now, what I'm going to be having you guys do is I'm going to be having you go to this assignment, and it's a Google slide, and I have different task cards on here where if we were in the classroom, I would have had these cut out into different squares for you, and you would be working with a partner on this. So we're going to be kind of using it, the same resource in an electronic format. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be reading the task card, and then you're going to look at the word that's underlined. So for this example right here, it's after Lily left home for college, her dad tried to sell the computer games she had played when she was little. However, he soon found they were obsolete. The word obsolete means A, too easy, B, out of date, C, boring. So what you need to do is you need to identify what that word obsolete means. Now, I do not want you to look up the definition of these words on Google. I do not want you to look them up on any other device. I want you to try to use what you know about the surrounding words and the context this word is used in to identify the meaning of it. Okay? Does that mean too easy? Found out the games were too easy, found out they were out of date, or if they were boring. So we're going to watch a little video on how to use context clues to help us understand the meaning of an unknown word. I'm going to go over to the YouTube and show you a video that I have discovered that talks a little bit more about what context clues are. So here we go.
Figuring out what a word means, a la Schmoke. Ever stumble upon a word that looks like somebody's cat walked across the keyboard? That can't possibly be a real word, you say to yourself. You've been reading since you were 3, and this nasty little conglomeration of letters has never reared its ugly head before now.
I've seen smaller messes come out of my diaper.
Or maybe you've seen it before but always ignored it.
Who are you again?
Hoping it would just go away like a scab that you resist picking for a week.
Must resist scratching.
Well, we've got news for you. Every word, no matter how obscure or funny looking, is there for a reason.
I have a purpose.
The writer took pains to find exactly the right way to express her thoughts, and by skipping it, you may be missing out on an entire layer of meaning. Trust us, if it's cold outside, you don't want to be depriving yourself of any layers.
I got 'em at Walmart.
So here are 5 quick tips for figuring out what a word means. We swear it won't be painful, so no need to be a quake button. Tip number 1, context counts. When you encounter a word that makes you feel like you're reading something in Arabic, there's a good chance you can make an educated guess about the word's meaning based on its context. The context is basically everything that surrounds the word, the sentence and paragraph that contain it. You may not know what a fabulist is, but if the person being described that way is known for telling tall tales, you might be able to get the general sense of the word.
I was raised by vegetables.
Tip number 2, part of your word. Here's another new word for you, morphology. No, not the study of transformers. Morphology involves using the parts of a word to decipher its meaning. For starters, the ending morpheme of a word can help you identify its part of speech. Like, sapphirus might be a stranger to you, but because it ends in O-U-S, you can bet your bottom dollar that it's an adjective. Let's say you know the word glamorous. It probably doesn't mean the same thing as sapphirus, but it almost certainly plays the same role in a sentence. Tip number 3, power of position. If someone is standing, she's probably not sleeping. If she's standing on her head, she's probably doing yoga or taking extreme measures to get rid of her hiccups. As you can see, positions are pretty helpful when trying to figure out what's happening in a given situation. We can generally tell what role a word plays based on its position in the sentence. For example, in English, subjects, and therefore nouns, usually come at the beginning of a sentence. Tip number 4, articulating articles. When we say article, we're not referring to the latest expose on corruption in Chicago politics. Nope, we're talking about little words like and the. Those little suckers that only appear before nouns, or nouns being modified by adjectives. You can't say sing or write. Well, you can, but not without getting pretty close. By spotting an article before an unknown word, you can be sure that the word in question is a noun. Okay, tip number 5, brain to the rescue. You don't give your brain enough credit, which isn't wise, because if your brain is feeling unappreciated, it might make you do something stupid or crazy and embarrass you in front of a whole lot of people. It has that power. You guys want to play some foofball? Your brain has seen a lot of words in its lifetime. Sometimes just by seeing a word, your brain might have some inkling as to what it means. It's been around the block, so if your brain is telling you something, don't disregard it. If you do, don't blame us the next time it makes you walk smack into a glass door. Ow! Quick tip review, then we'll send you on your merry way. Tip number 1, context counts. Tip number 2, part of your word, morphology. Tip number 3, the power of position. Tip number 4, articulating articles. Tip number 5, brain to the rescue. That's it. You made some good tips today, and you didn't have to wait on a single table.
All right, I'm going to stop the video there. So hopefully that gave you guys some ideas on different techniques and strategies that you can use to identify the meaning of an unknown word using the context around it. So I believe there's 32 of these. 32 context clues, cards, task cards, where you have to try to identify what the underlined word means. When you are done, make sure you type your answer in here, that you turn it into me, and also I'm curious to know, when you're done, please comment below what was one of the words you found was the hardest to define, and how were you able to define it? So what word was the most difficult, and what strategy did you use to help identify what it was? All right, good luck, and I'm excited to see your work.